Sometimes life doesn't give us a warning before testing our strength. Sometimes it doesn't whisper, it roars. But there are souls who stand tall even in the storm. There are women, brave women, who don't wait for the world to validate them because their strength comes from within, anchored deeply in God's wisdom. I once met such a woman. She didn't teach me through words. She taught me through her silence, her struggle, and her unshakable faith in the divine plan. And that day, I realized real courage isn't loud. Real bravery isn't about showing the world how strong you are. It's about standing with grace when everything is falling apart, trusting that God's plan is still unfolding perfectly, even when we can't see it. Today, I want to share the life lessons that every brave woman teaches, not by talking, but by living. These lessons are not only for women, they're for all of us who wish to walk this life with dignity, wisdom, and divine strength. Courage is silent, not shouting. It's the strength you carry when no one is watching, the power that doesn't need applause or recognition. Real courage is not the loud scream of victory. It's the quiet whisper that says, I will try again tomorrow. We often believe that bravery must be bold, dramatic, and seen by the world. But life teaches us otherwise. True courage often hides behind the smallest, most ordinary moments of life. It's the mother who wakes up each morning, exhausted, yet still smiles for her children. It's the young girl who faces the world's judgments and still decides to stay true to herself. It's the man who falls down in failure but chooses to rise again without bitterness. Think of a woman standing alone in the middle of a storm. The winds of life hit her from every direction: pain, rejection, loss, and uncertainty. Yet she doesn't shout or break down. She simply stands there, silent but unshaken. People may see her calmness and mistake it for weakness. But only she knows the strength it takes to not crumble. That's courage in its purest form. It doesn't come from anger or noise. It comes from a quiet trust that the divine is still in control even when everything seems broken. In our daily lives, we face challenges that test our patience, dignity, and hope. When a loved one hurts us, when opportunities fade away, when health or happiness slips out of our hands, we have two choices: to react with noise or to respond with grace. The brave heart chooses grace. It doesn't mean we suppress our emotions, it means we rise above them. Courage is not about never feeling fear or pain. It's about not letting fear dictate our actions. A brave woman knows that sometimes silence speaks louder than any argument. When someone wrongs her, she doesn't seek revenge, she seeks peace. When life disappoints her, she doesn't question God's fairness, she strengthens her faith in His timing. That's the kind of quiet power that transforms lives. It's not about winning against others, it's about winning over your own doubts. There's beauty in restraint, in knowing when to act and when to stay still. Just as a tree doesn't resist the wind, but bends to survive, courage often means flexibility. It means knowing that strength isn't always standing tall. It's sometimes found in bowing humbly before the storm and trusting that the sun will shine again. The world may tell you to shout louder, to prove your worth, to make everyone notice you. But real courage needs no audience. It's rooted deep inside, where only you and God can see it. Every day you see silent acts of courage around you. The elderly man who walks slowly but refuses to give up his independence. The student who continues to study despite repeated failures. The single parent who hides tears but keeps the home full of love. The woman who chooses forgiveness over hatred. They are not in the news, they are not on stages, but their courage lights up the world in quiet ways. When we look around, we realize that the loudest people are not always the strongest. Those who constantly talk about their strength may still be fighting their insecurities. The truly brave ones are the ones who walk through life with humility, compassion, and calm. They have learned that inner peace is the greatest power one can possess, and that peace comes from a deep connection with God, a realization that He is the one guiding every step. Courage is also about persistence, the determination to continue even when progress is invisible. Think about a farmer who plants seeds in dry soil. He cannot see what's happening beneath, but he still waters the ground, believing that something beautiful will grow in time. That faith, that unseen strength is courage. In our lives too, we keep moving forward, doing our best, and trusting that one day the fruits of our patience will appear. A brave woman doesn't need validation from the world. Her confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from her connection with her purpose. She knows her worth doesn't decrease because others fail to see it. Her silence is not submission. It's a reflection of her maturity. It's her way of saying, I choose peace over chaos, understanding over argument, faith over fear. And that choice, repeated every day, becomes her power. Even in failure, courage shines. Because every time you fail and still choose to try again, you are stronger than you were yesterday. Every disappointment builds resilience. Every rejection builds wisdom. Every heartbreak builds empathy. These are the invisible gifts that life gives to the brave. So when you walk through your own storms, remember, you don't have to shout to be strong. You don't have to prove your bravery to anyone. Sometimes, your calmness in chaos is the loudest statement of faith. Your silence in struggle speaks volumes about your trust in God's plan. When people look at you and wonder how you're still smiling despite all you've faced, that's courage. When you choose to be kind instead of cruel, patient instead of angry, hopeful instead of hopeless, that's courage. It's not the absence of fear, but the decision that fear will not control your destiny. Let your courage be quiet but unbreakable. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Let your life itself become a lesson that others can look at and say, if she can stay strong through all that, maybe I can too. Because in the end, the most powerful kind of courage isn't the one that demands attention. It's the one that quietly changes hearts. And when that courage is rooted in faith, no force in the world can take it away. Pain becomes power when guided by faith. Every person walking on this earth has faced pain, some visible, some buried deep inside the heart. But not everyone turns that pain into power. Most people allow it to break them, few allow it to build them. The difference lies in one simple thing: faith. Faith is that invisible bridge between your suffering and your strength. It doesn't erase pain, but it transforms how you see it. When you begin to believe that everything you go through has a divine purpose, pain stops being punishment and starts becoming preparation. Life will never promise you an easy path. It will test your patience, your confidence, and sometimes even your belief in yourself. But faith whispers softly, this too is part of your journey. A brave woman knows that pain is not the end of her story. It's the beginning of her transformation. When life pushes her down, she doesn't stay there. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and reminds herself, God is still writing my story. Think about a seed buried in the dark soil. It feels crushed, surrounded by darkness, and separated from light. Yet that same pressure and darkness are what make it grow. Without that struggle, it would never break open and become a tree. Pain in our lives works the same way. The dark moments, the losses, the heartbreaks, they all push us to grow into something stronger, something more beautiful. The brave heart doesn't run from that pain. She faces it, nurtures it, and lets it teach her. Imagine a woman who lost everything she once built: her work, her relationships, her confidence. She could have given up, and no one would blame her. But she chooses a different path. Instead of questioning, "Why me?" she asks, "What can I learn from this?" Each day, she takes one step forward, trusting that the divine has not abandoned her. Slowly, her pain turns into purpose. She begins to help others who are suffering, guiding them with the wisdom her own scars have given her. That's when pain becomes power, not when it disappears, but when it starts to serve a higher meaning. We often try to escape pain. We numb it with distractions, silence it with business, or hide it behind a smile. But the truth is, every pain carries a lesson that only reveals itself when we face it with courage. The stronger our faith, the clearer the lesson becomes. Pain humbles us. It reminds us that we are not in control of everything. It teaches us compassion, patience, and empathy. When we look at someone else's suffering after enduring our own, we don't judge anymore. We understand. A brave woman doesn't deny her pain, she embraces it as her teacher. She knows that tears are not signs of weakness, they are symbols of strength because it takes bravery to feel deeply. Every drop of pain she experiences refines her soul, like fire purifies gold. The more she endures, the brighter her spirit shines. People see her smile and think she's never struggled, but she knows the truth. Her smile is the result of many battles she fought and won silently. Faith doesn't mean life becomes painless. It means pain no longer controls your peace. It means you can look at a broken situation and still find gratitude. It means trusting that what you lost wasn't meant to destroy you but to shape you. Sometimes, God doesn't remove the storm. He teaches you how to sail through it. He allows the wind to blow, not to push you away, but to move you toward where you're meant to be. In our daily lives, we can see this transformation all around us. The single mother who struggles every day, but still raises her children with love, that's power born from pain. The person who loses a job but uses that setback to start something new, that's faith turning loss into direction. The child who grows up with challenges but becomes a source of inspiration for others, that's pain reshaped by divine purpose. When you see these people, you see living proof that pain doesn't have to break you. It can make you unstoppable. Every time you feel broken, remember this: gold has to go through fire to become pure. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and strong souls are shaped by struggles. The pain you feel today might be the strength you rely on tomorrow. It's not easy to believe this when you're in the middle of your storm, but faith is not about seeing the end. It's about trusting the process. A brave woman looks at her scars and smiles, not because she enjoyed the pain, but because she knows she survived what others thought would destroy her. Her pain gave her depth, her faith gave her direction, and together they built her strength. She doesn't let her past define her, she lets it refine her. So when life hurts, and it will, don't close your heart. Don't let bitterness replace belief. Every challenge is a chance to rise higher, to grow deeper, and to connect closer with the divine. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is this trying to awaken within me?" One day, you'll look back and realize that your pain wasn't a curse. It was a sacred turning point. It pushed you toward your purpose. It showed you your resilience. It helped you discover the power that was always within you. And when that day comes, you'll be grateful, not for the suffering itself, but for the strength it helped you find. Because in the end, faith doesn't take away pain, it transforms it. It turns tears into wisdom, heartbreak into humility, and trials into triumphs. When guided by faith, pain is no longer your enemy, it becomes your greatest teacher. And through that lesson, you don't just survive, you shine. Patience is her greatest weapon. It's the quiet force that gives her strength when everything around her seems to be falling apart. Patience is not waiting with frustration, it's waiting with faith. It's not the absence of action, it's the presence of peace. In a world that demands instant results, where people want everything fast, success, love, recognition, a brave woman knows that the most beautiful things in life cannot be rushed. Flowers don't bloom overnight, the sun doesn't rise in a second, and blessings don't arrive before their time. She understands that every delay has a divine reason behind it, and that reason always works in her favor, even if she cannot see it yet. Patience is not a sign of weakness, it is proof of inner strength. It means you trust the process even when it's uncomfortable. It's the ability to say, I don't have all the answers right now, but I know that God does. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, you care for it, and you wait. The same principle applies to life. The brave woman plants seeds of hope, kindness, and hard work, and she trusts that they will bloom when the time is right. She doesn't lose faith just because the garden isn't showing flowers yet. Every day, life tests patience in countless ways. Maybe it's a long line at the store, a delayed opportunity, a relationship that's taking time to heal, or a dream that still feels far away. Most people grow restless, anxious, and doubtful. But the one who walks with divine faith knows that impatience ruins what patience could have built beautifully. She understands that the universe doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to peace. The more she trusts, the more she attracts what is meant for her. In her daily life, she practices patience not just with situations, but with people. She doesn't react instantly to anger or insult. She pauses, breathes, and lets her calmness speak. That calmness is her power. She knows that losing patience means losing control of herself. And strength is not about controlling others, it's about controlling your emotions. She chooses not to let temporary emotions destroy permanent relationships. That choice requires deep patience, a patience that comes from wisdom, not weakness. Think of a time when you really wanted something to happen, a job, a result, a person's response, but it didn't come when you expected. You felt helpless, maybe even angry. But later, when you looked back, you realized that the delay protected you. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. Life was preparing something better for you. That's the gift of patience. It allows you to see blessings that impatience blinds you from. A brave woman knows that time is not her enemy, it's her teacher. She doesn't rush her growth. She doesn't compare her journey to others. She knows that what's meant for her will find her, even if it takes longer. She trusts divine timing, understanding that the delay is never denial, it's divine preparation. Every second of waiting is shaping her character, polishing her heart, and preparing her for something she may not even be ready for yet. In moments of struggle, she reminds herself that patience is not just waiting. It's believing while you wait. It's saying, I may not see the light right now, but I know it's coming. It's continuing to work even when results are invisible. It's keeping faith alive when everything around you says, give up. That's the kind of strength patience builds. The strength that doesn't fade with time, but grows with it. Look at nature. It moves in rhythm, not rush. Seasons come and go at their perfect pace. The river doesn't force its way through the mountain. It flows, gently but persistently, until it carves its own path. The same patience exists in a brave woman. She doesn't rush to prove herself. She flows through life, knowing that every moment has meaning. Her patience makes her graceful. It gives her a soft power, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be noticed. People around her feel peace in her presence because her energy is calm, not chaotic. She radiates confidence that things will unfold as they should, and that energy itself becomes magnetic. It draws positive outcomes toward her. Patience also brings wisdom. When she waits, she observes. When she observes, she learns. And what she learns shapes her into a woman of understanding. She doesn't make decisions out of impulse or fear. She makes them with clarity. Her patience gives her time to see truth beyond emotion. It helps her respond, not react. That's what separates the strong from the restless. The ability to pause before acting. In her silence, she's growing. In her waiting, she's winning. Every delay is deepening her strength. Every unanswered prayer is aligning her closer to her purpose. She knows that just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. She continues to show up, to do her best, to keep her heart open, and to believe that God's plan never fails. And one day, when her blessings arrive, they make sense of all the waiting. Every sleepless night, every unanswered question, every tear, suddenly, it all connects. She smiles, not because the journey was easy, but because she realizes patience was her greatest blessing all along. It kept her grounded. It kept her graceful. It kept her connected to the divine. So when life feels slow, when your efforts seem unnoticed, when your dreams seem far away, remember her. Remember how she didn't give up when things took time. Remember how her calmness became her crown. True patience is not about sitting still. It's about moving forward with peace in your heart and faith in your soul. Because in the end, patience doesn't just bring what you wait for. It makes you ready to receive it. She doesn't compete. She completes. In a world where everyone is trying to outshine each other, to prove who is better, faster, or more successful, a brave woman walks a different path. She doesn't waste her energy comparing her journey with someone else's. She focuses on becoming whole within herself. Competition creates noise, but completion creates peace. When you live with a mindset of competition, you're always running, always anxious, always feeling not enough. But when you live with a mindset of completion, you walk with calm confidence because you understand that your journey is uniquely designed by the divine. A brave woman understands that the only person she truly needs to compete with is the woman she was yesterday. Every day, she aims to grow a little kinder, a little wiser, a little stronger. She doesn't need to prove her worth to the world because she already knows her value. Her strength doesn't come from being better than others. It comes from being better within herself. She doesn't seek validation, she seeks evolution. In daily life, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparison. You see someone's success online, their perfect pictures, their achievements, and suddenly you start doubting your own path. But what you forget is that everyone's story unfolds differently. The flower doesn't envy the tree. The ocean doesn't compete with the sky. Each has its own beauty and purpose. A brave woman lives by that truth. She knows she is exactly where she's meant to be, and that her timing is guided by something far greater than the world's opinions. When she sees another woman succeeding, she doesn't feel threatened, she feels inspired. Her heart celebrates instead of competing. That's real strength, to appreciate someone else's light without questioning your own. She knows that one person's success doesn't steal her destiny. There is no shortage of blessings in this universe. There's room for everyone to shine. The brave woman trusts that when it's her time, nothing can stop her from blooming. She also understands that competition often comes from insecurity, not ambition. When you feel complete within, you stop comparing. You start focusing on peace over perfection. You begin to realize that you don't need to rush. Your blessings are never late, they're perfectly timed. She doesn't measure her worth by achievements or applause. She measures it by how aligned she is with her purpose, how much peace she carries in her heart, and how she treats others along the way. Think of a calm river flowing beside a loud waterfall. The waterfall makes noise, draws attention, and seems powerful, but it rushes, falls, and disappears. The river, on the other hand, flows quietly yet reaches the ocean. That's the power of completion. When you are grounded in your own purpose, you don't need noise to prove your worth. You just keep flowing, and eventually, you reach where you're meant to be. A brave woman finds joy in her progress, not in her position. She's not concerned about being ahead of others. She's focused on being aligned with herself. She understands that life is not a race, but a journey of growth and grace. Every step, even the slow ones, has meaning. Every setback teaches her patience. Every delay strengthens her faith. When you live with such awareness, competition fades away naturally. You stop chasing and start attracting. In relationships, too, she doesn't compete. She doesn't try to be superior or prove her worth through control. Instead, she completes people with understanding, kindness, and balance. Her presence adds peace, not pressure. She knows that love is not about who wins an argument. It's about who values the connection more. She doesn't seek to dominate, she seeks to harmonize. That's why people feel safe around her, because she brings calmness, not chaos. In her work, she doesn't compare her journey to others. She gives her best every day, not because she wants to outdo someone, but because excellence is her personal standard. When others rush to be seen, she works quietly, letting her results speak for her. And eventually they do. Because in the end, the universe always rewards sincerity over show. Her completion also comes from her deep connection with the divine. She knows she is not missing anything because she walks with faith. She understands that no person, achievement, or possession can make her whole, only inner peace can. When she prays, she doesn't ask to be like anyone else. She asks to be more like the person she was created to be. Her relationship with God fills the empty spaces that comparison tries to exploit. That's why she radiates contentment even when life isn't perfect. She carries completeness in her spirit. In everyday life, this attitude makes her unshakable. When others rush, she stays calm. When others compete for attention, she focuses on intention. When others fight to be seen, she chooses to serve. And that's what makes her truly powerful. Because power is not in being above others, it's in being at peace within yourself. So many people spend their lives comparing, competing, and chasing after things that don't bring them peace. But the brave woman teaches a different lesson, that the greatest victory is inner stability. When you're complete, you stop needing the world's validation. You don't chase love, you become love. You don't seek approval, you live in authenticity. You don't fear losing because you understand that nothing truly yours will ever be lost. And one day, when you reach that level of self-completion, you'll realize something beautiful. Your purpose was never to be better than anyone else. It was to become the truest version of yourself. You'll no longer envy anyone, because you'll finally see that everyone is on their own divine timeline, and yours is unfolding just as it should. A brave woman doesn't compete, she completes. She completes herself through faith, patience, kindness, and wisdom. She walks with quiet confidence, knowing she has nothing to prove and everything to become. And when you meet such a woman, you feel inspired, not because she's perfect, but because she's peaceful. That peace is her strength, her message, and her power. It reminds the world that real beauty is not in competition, it's in completion. She turns fear into faith. That's the secret of her strength. The transformation of darkness into light, of doubt into trust, of panic into peace. Everyone feels fear, no one escapes it. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of the unknown. It comes silently, whispering in the mind, what if I can't do it? What if I'm not enough? What if everything falls apart? But a brave woman listens, smiles softly, and answers, even if I fall, God will lift me again. That single thought, faith over fear, changes everything. Fear is natural, it's human. But what defines you is how you respond to it. Most people run from fear. They let it stop them, shrink them, silence them. But a woman of faith uses fear as her fuel. She doesn't deny its presence, but she doesn't bow to it either. She looks fear in the eyes and says, you may scare me, but you won't rule me. Her courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. Every time she chooses faith, she teaches the world what true strength looks like. Not loud, not proud, but deeply grounded in trust. In daily life, we all encounter moments that shake our confidence. A sudden problem, a decision we're unsure about, a dream that feels too big. Fear tries to whisper that we're not capable. But faith replies that we are not walking alone. A brave woman doesn't depend solely on her strength. She depends on a power greater than herself. She trusts that the same force that created the stars and keeps the universe in balance is guiding her path too. That thought alone turns trembling into peace. Think of a bird sitting on a fragile branch. It doesn't fear the branch breaking because its trust is not in the branch, it's in its own wings. In the same way, a woman of faith doesn't fear uncertainty because her trust isn't in circumstances, it's in her inner strength, rooted in divine support. Even when life shakes, she doesn't lose balance because she knows she can rise again. There was once a woman who dreamed of starting her own business, but was terrified of failing. People around her doubted her, and fear kept whispering, what if you lose everything? But she listened to another voice, quieter yet stronger, the voice of faith. It said, what if you fly? So she took that leap. The beginning was tough, full of doubts and difficulties, but she persisted. Every challenge she faced became a stepping stone. Today, her success is not just about business, it's about belief. Her courage didn't come from confidence, it came from faith. That's what fear does when you face it. It transforms. It teaches you that growth only happens outside your comfort zone. Every time you step beyond your fear, you discover a new version of yourself. A brave woman understands this. She knows that fear will always visit, but she doesn't let it stay. She welcomes it, learns from it, and then sends it away with gratitude because it helped her grow. Faith doesn't mean you won't be afraid. It means you believe there's something stronger than fear. When storms come, faith whispers, "Hold on, this will pass." When doors close, faith says, "There's a better one waiting." When people leave, faith reminds you, you were never truly alone. Fear shrinks your vision, faith expands it. Fear tells you to stop, faith tells you to start. Fear blinds you to possibilities. Faith opens your eyes to purpose. In her daily life, a brave woman chooses faith in small ways too. She trusts that even if things don't go as planned, they're still going as they should. She doesn't let anxiety steal her peace. She reminds herself that worrying about tomorrow only weakens today. So instead of asking, "What if things go wrong?" she asks, "What if things go right?" That shift in thought changes her entire energy. Her faith doesn't make her life perfect. It makes her perspective powerful. Even when she feels afraid, she acts anyway. She speaks when her voice trembles. She tries again when she's tired. She believes in people when the world tells her not to. That's real bravery. The world may see her calm face and think she has no fear, but inside, she's fighting silent battles and winning them through faith. She knows that courage is not being fearless, it's being faithful in fear. Sometimes her faith looks like patience, trusting the process when results are invisible. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness, letting go of anger because she believes peace will heal her. Sometimes it looks like perseverance, continuing her journey even when the road feels endless. No matter the form, her faith keeps her steady. In those quiet moments of doubt, she remembers how far she's come. She's faced storms before, and she's still standing. She's been through pain, and it shaped her. Every challenge that once frightened her has now become a story of strength. That's what happens when you turn fear into faith. You don't just survive, you transform. You rise higher, shine brighter, and become an example for others who are still trapped by their fears. And when people ask her how she stays so strong, she doesn't boast or claim to be fearless. She simply smiles and says, "I stopped letting fear speak louder than my faith." That's her mantra. That's her secret. Because she knows that fear fades in the presence of trust, and no darkness can overpower a soul that believes. So the next time fear tries to stop you, remember her. Remember that fear is not your enemy. It's your invitation to grow. Let faith guide you even when the path is unclear. Because when you replace "what if I fall" with "what if I fly," life opens up in miraculous ways. You begin to see that fear was never there to destroy you. It was there to remind you of your strength, to push you closer to faith, and to reveal the divine power that's been inside you all along. She chooses peace over chaos. That's her silent superpower, the ability to stay calm when everything around her is falling apart. In a world that glorifies speed, noise, and reaction, she chooses stillness. When others rush to respond, she pauses. When others fight to be right, she focuses on being kind. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Because she knows that peace is not found outside, it's created within. And when her inner world is calm, no storm outside can destroy her. Peace doesn't mean life is perfect. It means she has learned the art of being centered, even when surrounded by storms. Think of it like the calm eye in the middle of a hurricane. Still quiet, untouched by the chaos spinning around it. That's what a peaceful woman becomes. She doesn't let other people's anger decide her mood. She doesn't let unexpected situations steal her serenity. She has trained her mind to stay gentle even when life feels harsh. Every day, life tests her peace. A rude comment, an unexpected delay, a hurtful word, a disappointment. In those moments, she takes a breath before reacting. because she understands that every reaction is an energy exchange, one she can control. When someone tries to pull her into conflict, she doesn't fight back. She simply refuses to be disturbed. That's not indifference, that's emotional maturity. She knows that protecting her peace is not selfish, it's sacred. In daily life, peace looks like choosing silence over arguments. It looks like walking away instead of proving a point. It looks like saying, I wish you well, instead of, I'll show you. It looks like releasing what she cannot control and focusing on what she can, her attitude, her effort, her response. The world may call her quiet, but her calmness is not emptiness, it's power under control. There's a story of a woman who once worked in a stressful environment where everyone competed, complained, and criticized. Every morning, the office was filled with tension. Yet she remained calm. Her colleagues often asked her, how can you stay so peaceful when everything here is chaos? She smiled and said, I don't let this place live inside me. Those words carried deep truth. You can't control the noise of the world, but you can choose not to let it enter your soul. That's what peace really means. It's not about escaping life, it's about mastering it. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. When someone disrespects her, she doesn't let it shake her worth. When plans fail, she doesn't panic, she adapts. When life delays her dreams, she doesn't give up, she trusts the timing. Because she knows that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of trust. In small, everyday moments, her peace becomes visible. She begins her mornings with gratitude, not complaints. She takes small pauses throughout her day, sometimes just to breathe, sometimes just to smile. She ends her nights forgiving those who hurt her, not carrying anger to bed. She knows that holding grudges is like holding fire. It only burns the one who holds it. So she releases, forgives, and rests. That's how her heart stays light. Her peace also inspires others. People feel safe around her because her energy is soft yet strong. She doesn't judge quickly. She listens deeply. She doesn't gossip. She uplifts. Her presence brings calmness wherever she goes. Even when she says nothing, her silence speaks volumes, it says. You don't have to fight to prove your worth. You just have to be still and know your value. Sometimes people mistake her calmness for coldness, not realizing that it's discipline. It takes courage to not react, to walk away from chaos that tempts your peace. She has learned through experience that not every battle deserves her energy. Some things are better solved by silence than by shouting. When she chooses peace, she doesn't lose, she wins the moment. Even when her own thoughts become loud, she knows how to return to stillness. She prays, meditates, writes, or simply sits with herself. She reminds herself that peace is not something you chase, it's something you create with consistent choices. She doesn't let her emotions control her. She observes them, feels them, and releases them. That's real strength, to master yourself when everything else feels unsteady. One evening, after a long, exhausting day, she looked in the mirror and said softly, I will not let this world make me hard. That simple statement defines her spirit. No matter how many times life tests her, she keeps choosing peace. She understands that anger only drains her, but peace renews her. She knows that what she carries inside her heart shapes everything outside her. So she guards it fiercely, knowing her peace is her greatest wealth. In relationships, she doesn't chase arguments. She listens, speaks with kindness, and walks away when needed. She has learned that peace sometimes means choosing distance over drama. In her work, she focuses more on purpose than on competition. In her dreams, she moves with patience, not panic. Every area of her life reflects this inner calm. Even in pain, she stays grounded. She may cry, but she doesn't crumble. She may bend, but she doesn't break. Her peace